guys are live.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is the September 11, 2024 meeting of the Groveland Conservation Commission. And I'll make a motion to open the meeting at 7:10 PM. Is there a second? Second by Stephanie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we do not have any remote members tonight, so there will be no need to take roll call votes unless somebody wants to call for one. So we'll have our members introduce themselves. So to my left.
Jill Carr, what are we calling me? Associate Commissioner.
Yes.
Stephanie Bartelt.
Mike Dempsey.
Bill Formosi.
Fred O'Connor.
Okay, great. Yes, so we do have a quorum. There are 4 members and plus our associate member here tonight, so that's great. So we are going to open right up. The first item on the agenda of public meetings is 2 Federal Way. This has been continued since February or March. This was a Groveland determination of applicability for parking within the 100-foot buffer zone in the industrial zone over there at 2 Federal Way. And I did contact the applicant, Jay Ogden, and he says they have nothing else to add to this. Now, sorry I didn't include anything in our packets about this, but this was, if you recall, this lot is an empty lot in the corner of Federal Way and Salem Street, and we had previously had an ANRAD filed quite a while ago that showed that a big part of the lot, at least a third of it, is within the 100-foot buffer zone, and this kind of turned out to be a problem, and that's why they filed the Groveland RDA with us. So I think that our opinion, but if anyone else remembers it differently, our opinion on this was that they really need to file a notice of intent on it because anything they were going to do was going to end up being in the 100-foot buffer at least, and it is the industrial zone, so that really means that, you know, anything within the 100, any part of the building or construction within a 100-foot buffer zone needs to file a notice of intent. So what we need is a motion to close out the GRDA and issue a positive determination for recommending a notice of intent filing. Somebody want to make that motion?
Make the motion to close out the GRDA for 2 Federal Way with a positive finding and recommend that they file a notice of intent with the commission.
Second.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about the motion, what we're voting? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4-0 unanimous. Okay. All right, next on the agenda is a GRDA, RDA for landscaping within the jurisdictional buffer zone at 268 Washington Street, and I believe both of the next 2 items are in the packet. And these are filed by David Tucker of 268 Washington Street. So the first one we'll do is the landscaping one. So I'll just give you a little bit of intro on this. I think all of us have ridden by there and saw work that was going on, and, you know, we've had at least 3 other filings on this property, so we know that it's somewhat sensitive. Most of the property is within the 100-foot buffer zone, so anytime we saw work on there, something going on, you know, we try to follow up on it with the owners. So that's what Stephanie and I made a visit there and spoke to Mr. Tucker and asked him to file RDAs with us so that we could, kind of in hindsight, get him a permit. And fortunately, that was done, so we could have it on our agenda tonight. So, do you have the tear sheets or indication from the paper for me? Terrific. Perfect, perfect. All right, so can you tell us a little bit just about the landscaping one on your driveway?
Yeah, if I could start first of all by just introducing myself.
Sure.
Stephen Tucker. My wife and I are very new to this property. We just purchased it pretty fast in November.
Here. Sorry about that, make sure this, there it is.
We just purchased this property back in November. And of course, we're very anxious. You know, we like the property very, very much. I don't know what's happened with the previous owners. We weren't really aware that even for general landscaping and maintenance and stuff, that we needed to go through this process. I've had multiple other pieces of property, and if I knew that this was what was intended, then, you know, we would have followed the guidelines, and was not aware of that. The landscaping that we're doing beside the garage that Mike started to talk about, we have, was already existing. There was a 2-foot wide crushed stone that runs down beside the garage. It's on a hill, and that was obviously for drainage from the water coming off the roof. And then there was a grass area to the left of that, and then a 3 or 4 foot wide swatch of crushed stone for getting, you know, tractors and whatnot around the various points in the property. During the last several months while we have been there, you know, trying to minimize the amount of maintenance and stuff, there's a tremendous amount of weeds and stuff that were coming up. So all I was doing was pulling back the rocks, you know, and putting down some weed fabric underneath, not plastic, weed fabric, and some edging material in between the grass and the crushed stone to keep the crushed stone and stuff out of the grass. The grass area over the years, there's been some serious water erosions and ruts and stuff that were coming off of there, so we top dressed it with some loam just to level it off and threw down some grass seed. And that was at the point where you guys had come in. We were in the middle of, another hour's worth of work to finish it up, and alerted us about the process, and we filed the permits and stuff. So we've stopped at that point, hoping that we can get this passed, and just want to finish up, you know, what we had started. We have no intentions of doing any major digging or drainage or whatever else. We're just trying to minimize. You can imagine it's a tremendous amount, you know, large piece of property. And I'm just trying to minimize the amount of, you know, general maintenance and weeding and stuff and trimming that has to be done on the property.
How old is the house, do you know?
1798.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's old.
We've done a lot of investigation. It's a very interesting property. I guess it's my understanding that it was actually a single-level farmhouse back in the day.
Probably.
And there was a second level that was brought in. And it was always a mystery to me because on the second floor, you can see major structural beams in the corners of the house that had just kind of cut and just ended. And it always baffled me what they were, and they're the original, obviously, structural portions of the roof, you know, of the existing house, and they cut that all off to put on the second story, so.
Yeah, that house, not the previous owners, but the owner before that was a longtime member of the commission.
Oh,
So we kind of are very familiar with the property, you know, and then some of the work, a lot of the work that the previous owners did, as I say, both inside the house, they completely rehabbed, it's, you know, beautiful on the inside last time I was in there, so fantastic historic house. So, so Stephanie, do you have any thoughts on anything that needs to be done for that landscaping portion? What do you think?
I mean, I'm just concerned about the rehab work that was done and what may have been disturbed by their recent landscaping, and then putting plastic landscape fabric down in a sensitive
it's not
area.
plastic. It's not a
Landscape
plastic.
fabric that's meant to stay for a long time in a sensitive area. That area was just rehabilitated with the Department of Environmental Protection.
Yeah,
The area that we put the weed fabric down on is on the slope portion where the stone and gravel and stuff is.
That's
I did not put any
100-foot
weed
buffer.
fabric down in the area that was restored. It was my impression that the area that was restored was down, way down below in the lower portion and along the brook and stuff or whatever. We have not touched any of that. And don't have any plans of touching any of that. That was made well aware to us when we purchased the property about I believe there's still an outstanding, I forget what you guys call it, order of conditions or something on.
no, it's closed out.
Is it closed? I
Yeah.
thought they told us that we had to call and get it closed out this past spring or something.
Really? I think I'm pretty sure it's closed out. Check on it, but. Yeah, so, you're almost done with the work, right? You have very little work there to do, right?
How many square feet was the, you know,
There's a 4-foot wide crushed stone that extends from the driveway down the steep embankment because it's too steep with just grass to get the previous owner, somebody had, but I didn't bring that material, and that material was already there.
yeah, no, that's,
Yeah, it was probably about 4 foot, to answer your question, I think it's about 4 foot wide, probably 50 feet long.
okay.
It's hard to tell what the property actually looks like from this.
Oh,
I have a video of it if you.
I have, you know, I guess I have an issue with
yep, Bill.
I have an issue with this because he's doing minimal work.
Yeah.
And we have town roads that are within the 100-foot buffer.
Well, yeah,
So-
I know, right.
So it's, you know, can blame the 1789 Conservation Commission if we want, but,
Well, minimal work, but they were also storing piles of dirt. I mean, this is a property where they rebuilt that garage without any permits. I mean, no,
no. So
not this, but I mean, so it's like when you drive by, you see every little thing that happens because of all the previous issues.
Yeah, I
we've
understand
had.
that, but you know, I can't fault him for what people have done over the years.
No, right.
No, but I
So-
mean.
So I think a little bit of,
But our conservation agent also said that she met with them and said that anything that you need to do, you need to come and see Concom.
Well, you know, I mean, that's why we asked them to file, even though most of the work has been done, right? It's, to me, it's a matter of fairness, you know, that anybody who's doing work within the 100-foot buffer has to file for a permit.
absolutely.
And so, you know, regardless of whether the work was already done, or regardless of the work is minimal, you know, if it involves filling and, you know, moving soil around within the 100-foot buffer, unfortunately, we have to kind of be consistent with it, so,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Needs to file for the permit, did.
yes.
Little tardy, okay, but, you know, again, this property, as you say, this is a poster child for putting a house in the wrong place.
Well, yeah,
When-
right.
And so what can, I mean, we can't tell somebody you can't do anything.
No, and we never have.
No, we never have, right.
Especially on this property, they've had to do a lot of stuff, you know.
But, I mean,
If I could just make another comment, you know, the meeting that I had with the previous commission, because I did arrange a meeting, because I wanted to know what we could do. And I questioned her about, you know, we were specifically out by the pond and the wetland area and stuff, and asked her some specific questions about what I could do and what I couldn't do. And the way she phrased it was that, you know, cutting your grass and maintaining your lawn and whatnot, you know, was fine, and you didn't have any problems with that. And that's what I felt what I was doing. Yeah, all I was doing was maintaining and stuff in my lawn. I was not doing any major excavation or drainage work or anything like that, or disturbing anything close to the wetlands. And if I thought that it was and needed to be at a permit, then I would have done it right from the get-go.
Well, that's kind of why we're here tonight, because
Yeah.
it's up to us to decide if you do need a permit, and that's why we're having this meeting, you know. That's kind of the purpose of a RDA, is determination of applicability. So we have to determine if it requires a permit. It seems to, according to the rules, you know, if you're doing work within a 100-foot buffer, it seems to require a permit. But sometimes, depending upon what the work is, it might not require a permit. And a permit, you know, we can grant a permit to you tonight. We might put conditions on it. We might say we want erosion controls or whatever we want done, and give you a permit. Or we could say, no, you have to file a notice of intent with us. But I don't think it even rises to that point, anywhere near that point, you know. So, I mean, really, I guess what I want to know from the commissioners here, the rest of everybody, is our thoughts on, is there anything else we want done here for the work, or are we happy to just grant a permit for the work that's pretty much been done?
I guess my issue is that we put landscape fabric down within the buffer zone.
Okay, but how is that, what's the problem with that?
That it's a foreign substance in the middle of a wetland,
But it's permeable, right?
Yeah.
but
Some of
it's
them are biodegradable.
it never goes away.
Yeah, it does. Some of them break down. It depends on what was put down. Not all of them. Some of them are actually biodegradable.
This is to prevent weeds from coming, which it won't do, but
Yeah, I don't think it's worthwhile using
No.
personally, but, you know, I haven't had much luck with it in my yard.
So my question would be, was there any additional area disturbed that wasn't already, whatever, stones, whatever, and
No.
so it's,
All
You didn't
all
expand
existing,
any
all
area.
existing materials that were already there. Stone was already beside the garage, the stone gravel, you know, pathway was already existing in there.
So basically, I think it seems that he replaced what was already there, you know,
Right.
which again, you know, does it require a permit? Technically, yes. But, you know, like I say, he is willing to come in and file and ask us, so thank you for doing that.
I'm trying not to jump to the next one, because that's.
Yeah, don't go there, because that's a little different, that one's a little bit different. This one is, you know, is obviously, it's kind of a tough decision, because there really wasn't, much change. It was just that the work was done, there was some fill put in and gravel and stuff, so.
Some fill put in
Well,
the buffer
again,
zone.
the gravel was already there. I did not bring
Yeah,
any
no.
any more stone. All I did was top dress the grass with the ruts and stuff that were there so that I could plant some new grass seed. So that we didn't have more erosion, that's all. Did not bring any more gravel in.
Okay, well, then,
I just think that, I mean, to your point, we know it's in a delicate area. I just think that we need to use care with these areas. It's already.
No,
well, this is,
Yeah,
let's
I
put it.
think
And then
so.
and then we put fill in, and we saw what happened when we put fill in up on Cherry Street where we have a new knotweed infestation, so. I mean, we have to be
Yeah, I
careful.
understand, there's a lot of what-ifs, but, okay, I'm just gonna say what I have changed my mind. I am gonna say, I don't think there's a permit required for this. That's where I'm gonna be.
okay. And Stephanie, you think it requires a permit?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, the only thing that I would say is, I think it should require a permit if he were starting it from scratch. I probably would have said, maybe you want to put some simple erosion controls down, like a straw wattle, so that there's no chance of any of the loam being washed down on that hill further into the buffer zone. But since it seems to be pretty stabilized now, I don't know if there's any reason to do that going forward. What do you think, Fred?
No permit,
No permit?
no.
So we have a tie.
Well, the question is the permit required to keep the rest of the state and statutes in accordance versus to appeasing our own bylaws?
Yeah, I would say it's only under our own bylaw.
And how many other people are gonna walk in after they've done the job? And say, oh, yeah, well,
It's because we stopped by.
yeah.
That's why he's here.
I was just
Because
having
we
to tell you
requested their
moment.
presence.
Yeah, and again, understand that, but I will take his word for it that he was thinking it was maintenance and wasn't doing
Yeah.
anything different, wasn't digging ditches, wasn't installing anything. It was repointing.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Well, I mean, we're not here to punish anybody
No, no,
anyway,
no,
so
but-
it's not really about that. It's really, and I don't even think it's setting any precedent. It's more, if we feel that there should be permits for these kinds of things in the buffer zone, then we should try to be consistent, that's all.
Again, I think this is somewhat of a unique case.
Yeah.
In the sense that the whole property is essentially in.
Yes,
What can't, if I had to come to this commission every time I wanted to mow my lawn.
no, obviously, we don't want to say that.
Right, and so I think
Do we,
on this particular case,
does someone have to come to the commission every time, if they've got a flower bed within the 100-foot buffer, do they have to come every time they dig it up and dig the weeds out? And,
right,
I don't think so. So, I don't know, I guess I could be convinced that we don't have to issue a permit for this one. Somebody want to make a motion?
sure.
You want to make a motion?
Absolutely, no.
Oh, she doesn't want to make a motion. Bill, then it's up to you.
Okay, so I will say that make a motion that for 268 Washington Street, the landscaping within the jurisdictional buffer zone that is mostly complete will not require a permit from the commission.
Yeah, so you're saying a negative determination.
Negative determination on the GRDA.
All right. All right, so you're making a motion. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Fred seconds. All right, let me just write this down.
Terry.
Okay, so we understand the motion before us. So what we're saying is, we appreciate that after being asked, the owner filed a request for determination. Our determination is, after hearing an explanation of the work that was being done, despite the fact that it was in the 100-foot buffer zone, and despite the fact that we don't necessarily agree that landscaping fabric should be used there. I mean, that's an issue for another day. Never really thought about that one. But, despite those things, that we don't think a permit is really required for that level of work. Right? Am I correct in my explanation?
I agree with that
All right,
explanation.
all right. So we'll take a vote then. Any questions on it? Any question on it?
Now, well,
Okay.
I guess my only concern
Yeah.
is, then we allow anything else going forward in this part of the property?
No, no. Because let's say he wanted to come in and dig out all that stuff and put something else there, right? So,
Right, we're not allowing anything else.
any other work,
Where he would be expected to come in and, in front of the commission.
Right.
To request a GRDA.
right. I think what crosses the line for me is that this sounds more like maintenance than something new, even though, again, we might not agree what he did, how he did it, with what materials he used, but it seems to have been more maintaining what was there, pretty much maintaining what was there, right?
And I don't know what the consequences are, but if he didn't maintain it, what would the impact be? Right, does that mean more erosion? Does
Well,
that mean-
maintenance, including the landscape fabric.
Yes, but maintaining the path and next to the barn, the stuff dripping down and everything. I mean, I assume that he's gonna have to maintain that area going forward,
Somewhere.
right? What do you think, Joe? Help us out.
It does sound like temporary maintenance
Yeah,
disturbance.
yeah,
But if you were to rip it out and put in pavers, for example, or concrete or something, you probably have to.
yeah,
go under
yeah,
review.
right. But for him, going forward, to continue with putting stone there on the path and maintaining the soil on both sides, probably, I would say, based on our decision tonight, can be done in the future. All right.
Yeah, within the same boundaries of what
Yes,
exists.
yes. All right, I guess we're ready to take a vote then, because I think we understand what we're saying. So all in favor of issuing a negative determination on this RDA, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. 3-1. All right, so that's the first one. The second one is a little bit different. This involves the other side of the property, and if you look at that attached map in there somewhere. It's not in here.
After going through the last one, I can sum up my, on this one real quick.
Here it is.
No, this is,
All right, so why don't you tell us what's going on the other side of the property, and before I go into it?
When we moved there, like I said, back in November, There was a few trees on that property line beside my property and my neighbors there. A couple of arborvitae-type trees that were in tough shape that hadn't been taken care of. There was another dead, and I don't know if it was an ash or an oak tree or whatever. One large birch tree up by the house, which had a large split in it, and in the split was all starting to rot. And the tree branches, had major limbs that were overhanging the bedroom of my newborn. During the winter, I had 3 trees on various other spots of the property that fell during the winter. And again, not knowing that we would indeed require a permit to cut down trees that were on our property, especially ones that were in tough shape, I had them removed. Like I said, we have a newborn who's going to be obviously up and running at some point. We're on a busy street. We also have a dog that we'd like to be able to let out and let run around the property. It's a great piece of property. So we wanted to put a fence. And there was already an existing fence along Washington Street, which was rotted and dilapidated, and during the next high wind, it's going to fall into Washington Street and be a traffic problem. So we took it down and got a quotation to put in a new fence to replace where the existing one was and to divide our property, bring it down to where the pond is so that we could keep the child and the dog securely within the property.
What about the soil disturbance, kind of all the way down to close to where the
That's where
pond
the
is?
tree line was, and we had to get, because the fence was going to go along where that tree line was, I had to have the stumps taken out.
Oh,
So
okay.
we dug the
remove the
stumps out and
stumps.
whatnot, and then we just backfilled it in with loam where the stumps were. Have not changed any of the grading or slopes or whatever else. We just filled in the holes where the stumps were.
What kind of fencing is this? Chain link?
No, white vinyl fence.
Cedar or
So how
something.
often
post.
are the,
It's not a wooden fence, it's a white vinyl fence.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
A cedar fence, what was the, sorry, I'm talking into the mic. The previous fence was a wooden cedar fence.
what's the spacing of the posts in the ground?
6 feet.
So,
And I've talked to the homeowner on my other side. Before I started any of this, I had talked to him. Because at that point in time, I wasn't even sure whose trees they were, if they were my trees or his trees. We got the land surveyed, and they were on my property, but I still asked. The person that lives in that particular house, we still have not met them. His son lives in the next house. The person that lives beside me, I guess, resides down in Florida. And he had a discussion with him about what we wanted to do, and he was in perfect agreement with it and didn't have any problems. So I did have the courtesy of having a conversation with my neighbors before I started any of the work.
so I'm kind of surprised that the company that took the trees down didn't tell you that you might need a permit, because most of the tree companies know better. They're very wary of taking down any trees before.
We had a
somebody
police
has a
detail.
permit.
We had to get a police detail to monitor the street traffic and stuff or whatever, so
What tree company was it?
I'd have to look it up. I don't know, Collins, I think? I have to look at it up. I'm sorry.
Collins.
that would be very surprising.
Yeah, I know, I'm amazed.
Is that the right name? I'm
Yeah,
going-
no,
There
it's
is a Collins.
Steve Collins.
Steve
Yeah.
Collins, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of weird.
Right next to the water.
No, I know, but I mean, I'm surprised that he
At the-
didn't say
yeah.
something, you know? That's crazy. Well, I think the part that, you know, those trees are in the buffer zone. Where the fence is really, and it's right along the road, I don't think that, you know, that's really an issue. It's more that, you know, where the trees were taken down and then that soil and land, and the backfilling of the loom and just the grading there.
But there is a new fence.
Yeah, it's not in yet.
No, I know, okay, but
But you know, that soil's sitting there exposed, run down to the pond, certainly we would require erosion controls
Yep.
between that and the pond.
Well, is there any remediation that needs to be done, or is it,
No, because it's pretty much done,
okay.
yeah. You know, I mean, normally, we wouldn't allow someone, we would say, don't take the stumps out.
Right.
We'd say, leave them there.
Is it acceptable to plant some other trees along the
Oh, yeah.
places where those
No,
were?
that's,
Normally, that's
Because the
what we
property-
ask.
Yeah, because the property, you remember last year, there was a tremendous amount of rainfall, much different than this past summer. And we definitely have noticed that, depending upon the level of the rainfall and whatnot, the backyard gets quite wet,
Yep,
to the point where during the springtime, we couldn't even mow the grass, it would get stuck.
no, actually, we would, I would say, appreciate.
I was thinking about considering about putting a couple of weeping willow type trees in. I have a property, my business that I own in Woburn. It's my experience that those are very good for, taking up a lot of, groundwater and whatnot every day, so.
They're good for taking up water, but they tend to tip.
But these would be way further away from the house, if it takes down the fence, so be it. But these would be a lot further away from the house and would not be any.
So are you saying the fence is gonna be,
I'm sorry,
What?
Willow's native?
I'm not sure about weeping willows being native to the area, but certainly they would be on a list. Is the fence gonna be parallel to Washington Street, or is it going to be perpendicular?
Two fences. There was an existing fence already parallel to Washington Street. And then another one that would go from where it ended down the property line, bisecting, my property and my neighbor's.
That's the one that seems more concerning to me.
Yes.
Both the soil disturbance for those 6-foot space posts, and then it's a wildlife barrier as well, straight to that
Exactly.
pond.
What do you mean, what do you mean by a wildlife barrier?
Any mammals or reptile, amphibian, wildlife, if it goes all the way to the ground, that can't pass through there. I don't know what the wetland map does on your neighbor's property, but, it looks like it comes right up behind your house. So you could have wildlife that has corridors there,
That
going from
depend
right
on the-
behind your house west into your neighbor's property.
Which, it looks like the wetlands come from the other side of Carlton Road, right? Based on,
Well, Carlton Road is a paper road. I think it's, it's not a real.
This fence line goes directly down to the water that he's proposing to put in. And that's the area that's been disturbed perpendicular to Washington Street.
yeah. I'm looking.
So I would say, that we should see erosion control put between the limit of work and the pond, first of all, right?
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer. And we could allow replacement trees to be put in. So the only question then is that piece of fence that goes down towards the pond, what do we want to do about that? So they're going to have to dig the holes, so we could say the holes need to be dug without, manually rather than by machine.
Yep.
And, or a hand auger would be fine. But, I think, Joe, you bring up a good point. So what, I know we could ask for the fence to be not to the ground, right?
Especially because that's on a slope there.
So do you know typically what a standard might be?
I don't know, the height of passage.
Yeah, like between the ground and the bottom of
For
the fence?
turtles, it wouldn't be more than a foot. 6
Yeah,
inches
right.
How
or a
big is
foot.
your dog?
Right,
Sorry?
How big is your dog?
She's a 135-pound King Corso, so she's not going underneath a 6-inch
have a
high above the fence.
Well, was
She might jump over it, but she's not climbing.
was the plan for the fence to go right down to the water?
Close
I
to the
mean,
water,
to the water where it is now?
close to the water, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you're just trying to divide your yard up from the neighbor, right?
Right, you want to be able to let the dog out and not have to put her on a line so that she can take advantage of running around the property and getting some exercise. And
Okay,
as long as I can get it fairly down close to the property line, you know, we can,
yeah,
I'm not planning on running 6 feet all the way down. It was going to scallop down to a 3-foot high
yeah.
section along the end.
So we could ask for a foot or, 8 to 12 inch clearance between the bottom of the fence and the ground. So at least, we know turtle habitat is around that area, so at least it would provide a pathway for the turtles.
Probably good with 6. I'm thinking, when I think of a foot,
That's a
Yeah, I
lot.
know.
that's a lot.
That's,
All right.
that's gonna look awful funny.
So we can say 6 inches, right?
I think that's,
All right, and straw wattle. Anything else?
So can I ask you a question? So is the 6 inches just along the fence line between my property?
Yeah.
And the neighbor's not along the street?
no,
No,
Washington Street can go down to it.
Better if the turtles aren't crossing the street.
Keep them from,
Anything else we think needs to be done on this one? I can't
Well,
think of-
I guess the native plant list so that we can.
Oh, yeah, so we can include a native plant list so that if
So
you
that
want
he
to
has
replace
tree
those
options,
trees.
yeah.
yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be trees if there's.
Yeah, brush.
Well,
Brush.
we argued back and forth for weeks about taking that birch tree. It was a beautiful, beautiful birch tree. Did not want to take it down. Where the corner where the two fences intersect, we wanted to put a cluster of smaller birch trees, in that area. And then, like I said, the willow tree further down where the water, does tend to get pretty mushy during the early spring and whatnot to help with the amount of water.
So I think we're willing to let you plant whatever native vegetation there you want, as long as you're doing it by hand, but I think probably most of what you're gonna do is by hand anyway, so that's not really an issue.
So, but I guess getting back to.
Yeah.
This would require a permit.
Yeah, but we can give them a letter permit on
okay.
a RDA, so.
So the prevention that you want down the end, can you give me some details on what exactly you want me to do down by the water for prevention of,
Just, I don't think we need them to, other than raising the fence up and doing any tree planting or vegetation planting, doing it by hand, I think that's okay.
I thought you mentioned something about hay bales. and
Yeah.
stuff
Oh,
you
yeah.
wanted.
Just a straw wattle at the edge of where you have the exposed soil.
Okay.
That's pretty much.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And the weeping willows are not native
Oh,
to Massachusetts, but there are several other willow species that are.
Okay.
okay. So we can provide, send those to me if you can, so I'll put them on make sure they're on the plant list.
Okay.
Or just tell me what they are, make sure they're already on
Well,
there.
right here I have a white willow.
So Fred pointed out that you have a picture of what we would want for the,
White willow.
Okay.
the erosion control. So that would be straw wattles,
Yeah.
and that's a.
Stakes
silt
holding
fit-
them down and
Yep,
rather
yep,
go through it.
Yeah, so that's already on
Okay.
your
It says
drawing.
it's a paper road, which means it doesn't actually exist.
Just want to make sure it wasn't something different.
Yeah, no, just, and again, our intent is that you minimize the disturbance, which in a
Yeah.
fence is typically around the posts, and, no machinery back there unless it's the auger for a post.
And when and if the rain does eventually come back, and whatever comes down the hill.
Yeah, right. So once the work's done and the grass is reseeded and planted, can that erosion material
Yes.
be taken back up?
Yeah, you can, the fencing, the silt fence, but the straw will just decompose.
Just let it decompose?
So,
Yeah, okay.
All right. So I think we're ready for a motion.
Guess I'm motion guy tonight.
You're Mr.
Yep.
Motion
Okay,
tonight.
so I make a motion that we have a positive finding for the GRDA at 268 Washington Street for the landscaping, tree removal, and the fencing within the jurisdictional buffer zone.
Second.
Okay, so what we will do is issue a permit letter. I should be able to get this out to you in the next few days, that will just outline what we said, you know, about the straw wattle, the location, the fence, 6 feet, 6 inches off the ground, yeah, 6 feet, and the
The plantings.
plantings, yes. All right, so everyone understands the motion?
That's your-
Take a vote. All in favor of the motion for a positive determination on the GRDA, RDA for 268 Washington Street, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. We're all set.
Very good. All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Yeah, you too.
All right. Next is review of commission documents and handouts. So what I did was,
Would you make a motion to close the meeting?
No, we didn't. We have all that there.
I looked at what we've got on our website, and almost everything on there never has been updated. So we recently, if you recall, we went through the what permit do I file for, and that was updated, but it's not posted on the web. So I just got to find the final document and get that on there. There's the new application, also was updated, but still that one didn't get replaced either, so I gotta get those on there. The wetlands protection bylaw is on there, but it doesn't have a cover sheet on it. It's kinda, just some pages from the town bylaw thing, but we should have a separate, cover on it and an update date. The fee schedule is on there, but it's labeled as 2014, so I want to get rid of the 2014 label, even though that was the last time it was updated.
That's just for me.
And so the last three things that are on there, the rules and regs for Groveland conservation areas, I want to have you look at tonight. The step-by-step guide, take a look at that tonight. And then there are 7 other documents that we should consider in the future. They're not on the website, but we have them, we've used them. They are the tree removal policy, the trail maintenance policy, the riverfront protection regs, snow disposal guidance, land donation criteria, seasonal restriction and seasonal waiver guidelines, and then habitat protection. So those 7, they're all in some form or another, but what I'd like to do is get them all on letterhead, you know, on our town seal thing and everything, so, and get them on the websites, because a lot of times somebody calls and, you know, they want to know something about the seasonal waiver or something, you can just say, it's on our website, go get it, and we know that the document that's out there is the correct one. So take a look at the first one is the rules and regs for Groveland Conservation Areas. There it is. All right. Yeah, and this goes back, I mean, we've had this since like, I forget, 2017 or something like that, but it's never been updated. So I don't know, take a look at it. Is there any changes that you see that you want to put on here?
Number 10 on the lower list needs to be select board.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Is this on the website in a place where it also lists which areas the rules are pertinent to?
No. It isn't.
Just all Groveland.
That seems like a common sense
That's a
question.
good idea, though.
I'm thinking I don't even know what all the Groveland conservation
Yeah.
areas are.
Good point.
So, yeah, it probably would be good to add them to this
Yeah, just
document,
list-
right?
Like that. I would say number 5, just, again, how old is this? Radios. You might want to just say, something about music in general.
Electronic devices.
Oh, yeah, good. Electronic devices.
But I think it has to do with, music, right? Or
Well, it might be a podcast.
okay.
Even
But well, it's just personal listening or something. You have to,
electronic
Might
devices
want to
and,
watch the NFL down by the water sometime, you know?
right.
There you go.
Which actually has happened
I do have a,
a couple of nights.
there was a discussion at some point over the summer on Facebook about some wasps that somebody saw and they wanted somebody to go kill them. And maybe we could say, you may not injure wildlife or something.
It does say you may not remove plants or wildlife.
oh, yeah, definitely.
But like, I don't think
Gonna have
people
to-
should be
You don't have to remove them if you're just killing them.
taking it upon themselves to go and exterminate insects.
All right,
Remove or harm
Yeah,
plants,
I think it's
wildlife, or
remove or
insects.
harm.
Okay,
Do
good.
do harm to.
okay, so you may not remove or harm plants or wildlife. All right, good.
Including insects.
Insects.
Including insects.
Well,
Seriously though, because,
But what if, like, mosquitoes?
I'm gonna swat a mosquito wherever I am, sorry.
that's allowed.
Deface or vandalize, litter, swim,
You know,
yes.
nobody follows that rule.
Yeah. Cut firewood, absolutely. Any other vehicles except on paved roads?
Doesn't say sledding either.
No, because we don't not allow sledding on the VZ Hill. Play paintball games, have campfires. Oh, have campfires. Yes, so, maybe we should say have campfires without a permit.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, if we allow camping
Have campfires
overnight,
By permit only.
yeah.
So then
All
it should
right.
probably go up under you may.
Even when the
With
scouts
the-
were down there, we
Well-
actually had to turn around and at least acknowledge to the fire department, hey, we're up to no good down.
So is there a permit for camping out overnight, or, because it just says with special permission, what does that mean?
Oh,
They'd have to go to the fire department.
So, yeah,
It's like,
so,
it's like burning.
right, so,
typically, what I would, in this, what does permission mean, right?
yeah.
What is permission? So some statement that says, for permission, please contact the conservation office, at blank, blank, blank,
Yeah.
and
And
register with the agent or something like that.
But I think also,
I don't think the chief would be happy about that.
to Fred's point,
What?
the fire department has to be notified too.
Oh, well, I don't know about it. I don't know if they do. I don't think they require it,
For a campfire?
yeah.
Would it be
I would
good?
think they do.
Well,
We have to notify them to burn in our backyard.
I mean, but I don't, when I'm burning something in my fire pit. It's the same thing, right?
It's a sustained location too.
Yeah, hopefully you don't have all dry brush around your fire pit.
Yeah, when we do like a burn pile, like our weeds and stuff, we,
Yeah,
have to
but
call
that's
and
like
get
mine is a containment,
yeah.
which is,
Well, Rich isn't here tonight because he
No,
could
that's true,
answer
yeah,
this
we could have
question.
asked him, but,
So-
yeah, let's keep that open, because again, I think it's different. You're gonna make sure you don't burn your house down. Somebody out in the woods doesn't necessarily have, you know, all the precautions in place. So it may be good just to even notify the fire department that, you know, if somebody's out there, rather than getting a call, VZ's on fire.
Yeah, yeah, oh,
Say this
certainly.
over, Rich.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, even if you, yeah, even if you don't get a permit, but you notify them, right?
Notify them, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to Rich if I get a chance, because I got a couple other questions somewhat related, so I'll talk to him and see what we say, what he says about it. All right, anything else? Let's see, group picnics, cookouts. I mean, some of this stuff applies more to like VZ Park, this thing about group picnics and cookouts, you know,
Alcoholic beverages.
yes.
well, I mean, we have a lot of conservation areas, so we could have, I mean, isn't Strawberry Fields a conservation area too? Like group
Yeah.
picnics?
Yeah. Select
Or Lower Center Street?
Is he gonna come down on the cricket people?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I don't know what they
Are they
do.
still-
Usually
are they
usually
still
have a couple
playing out
beers
there?
after the game.
Yeah,
Still playing out there?
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I went and watched a couple matches.
It's,
You did? I
yeah,
really
it's-
want to, I
it's-
haven't yet.
It's interesting, it's, unfortunately, it's crappy field.
Yeah, I know, not the greatest
Used for
place.
something.
Yeah, no, I know.
All right. The next one is a little bit trickier, step-by-step guide to the permit application process. So, let's see, call office in Wetland, vicinity of proposed project. There are wetlands, or there's a possibility affecting wetlands beyond 200 feet, blah, 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 blah. What's the website at? I gotta check that link, I don't know if
Oh,
that,
and that email address.
yeah, down the bottom there.
No, this one,
Which one? Oh, yeah,
Ross.
and I'm not sure even that's the right phone number, I gotta check that. Okay.
No alteration is permitted in any resource area. Just saying.
Can you point, like in step one, can you point people to the wetland maps on their own? So they can look up their parcel and everything?
Yes.
I
They
mean,
can,
for people who are interested in doing that.
Yeah.
okay, wetland locations can be checked on my map or, and I'll put the state map on there. All righty. Yes, that's fine. Commission may ask the applicant for more information. Depending on the issue of a DP file. Just the site. 2 to 3 weeks to file the permit. Proof of recording, blah, 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 a few days.
Are we still doing pre-construction site visits?
Oh, yeah,
Who does that?
agent,
You?
now, but,
Tuesday mornings from 8 to 12?
yeah.
Hmm.
Must be. Step. Anything else?
This was only updated July 2020.
Yep. And amazingly, not much has changed. In the actual procedure, the process, really, it's pretty much the same.
So we have to blame our 1800s
So-
developers again.
Yep.
I was just going to beat a dead horse with the first paragraph.
Okay, do all of our folks here that get permits, do they actually go down to Salem? Or is there
No.
another way to?
Only only on notice of intent, not on RDAs.
Okay.
And yeah, you pretty much have to go to, it's not in Salem anymore, I think it's Beverly now.
Okay, well, we should
Update
The
number
register
8.
find that out and change it then.
Yes.
This is
The Register of Deeds.
Number 8.
Number 8. Okay, good point. All right. Are we done with that one?
That's pretty.
All right, so, let's see. um, So next time, I will try to get here, we've got the tree removal stuff. Rich is working on the trail maintenance policy. I probably can bring in most of the other ones. Tree removal, riverfront regs and area protection guidelines, snow disposal guidance, land donation criteria, seasonal restriction waiver notes, and the habitat protection. That one, I'm not so sure that one's ready. But, so I'll bring as much of those as I can.
It appears to still be in Salem.
It's still in Salem?
The Essex County Registry of Deeds, County Government Office, Salem, Mass.
Yeah, the office is there, but I'm not that sure that's where you go if you want to file something. They've got something in Beverly now at the Cummings Center.
Huh, that's where I work. Weird.
Oh, really?
It's huge, though.
you go, I have a project.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, find that out
Start
for
it
us.
out.
All right.
Find your register's office here.
So here's an update on the conservation agent position. As I mentioned last time, we do not have a conservation agent. We have funding for the position at 16 hours a week. But Rebecca has not been able to find anybody who is interested in doing it. We still have it advertised, I believe, on Mass Conservation Commission's site and also a couple other places. She's contacted other nearby towns to see what they have to say, if they're
That was me
interested,
again.
and couldn't find anybody that's interested, unfortunately, so we don't have anybody. So I'm spending about 4 or 5 hours a week on it. It's not terrible right now. But sooner or later, I'm not going to want to do it anymore. So the question I have is, do we want to consider hiring a consultant to do that for us, do some of the work for us? Even if we could hire somebody for, 4 hours a week to be in the office, process paperwork, permits, get the packets ready, distribute stuff by email.
What's the difference? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
Just they're like, we'd have to pay a lot more money to get somebody to do that than just a regular employee. So we'd be hiring somebody from a company.
So like a temp?
Yeah, kind of like that, right,
Okay.
right. But, it'd probably cost us like 25 or 30 bucks an hour.
And I don't think we'll get what we want out of that. Someone with
Probably
the
not.
local context and knowledge of,
Yes,
Yes. What if
It-
we do a more like targeted outreach to local colleges? you
yes.
know? Like it's a great job for like a recent grad.
Oh, yeah.
It was for Annie.
Well, the only problem is it's part-time, that's the
That's
only
even
thing.
better though.
Really, you think?
Yeah.
Like a graduate student or
Somebody
something,
who's trying
right?
to do other things at the same time,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
back to school. I could certainly post it at UMass Boston, where I work, but then there's, NECC and,
Well, yeah, does NECO have, they might have environmental folks or Merrimack?
Merrimack, yeah.
Mm.
I feel like that even, there'd be a learning curve there, but then it's a better person, I think, than a consultant.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't like the idea of a consultant, really. Besides it being expensive, it's also, you might get a different person every month.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
What about the senior group in Groveland? Would there be, ask anybody there? I mean,
Council on Aging, you mean?
yes.
Yeah. So what I'll do is, tomorrow, when I'm in the office, gonna be there in the morning, I'll just mention this to Rebecca, just ask her if she's made any other progress on anybody, and then ask her if she can have Annie do this stuff. Check on how we put the word out on some local colleges and spread the word a little bit further. And Joe, if you can do that or send us, do you need like a job description or something?
We have a link to it, right? It's
Um,
online, the job.
I'm not sure, but let me check.
I thought I saw it a while back.
I think that it's on the town website.
No, I don't need anything else. I can
Okay.
pass that around.
So what is VZ doing? Because she was half,
She hasn't done that for a year.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, VZ, that idea just never really materialized. She only did it for like about 2 months,
Yeah.
so it really wasn't.
Yeah.
All right. All right, any other items for discussion tonight? I don't think I have anything else. Well, I'll tell you that, so tonight was fairly quiet, as you can see. But I'm expecting in the next month to have major notice of intent filings for 301 Main Street, the gas station. They want to do some work over at Whitestone. Again, these are notice of intent. Notice of intent on 301 Main, notice of intent at Whitestone. And also a notice of intent by the city of Haverhill for a recreation area where they have to, it's out there at where the old dump was off of Yema Road by the Merrimack River.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is, it is. And I want to say there's one more, but I can't think of it. Anyway, so there's like 4 or 5 of these things coming down the pike. It's just a matter of them doing their work to put it all together. So I'm expecting that, by October, we'll have at least a couple of these fired up and ready to go before us.
Do we have to start worrying about seasonal restrictions?
Yes.
So,
Are there still open?
Oh, yes.
sorry, I keep bumping this.
That's some work that I gotta do in the offices too, and while Annie's there, is say, all right, Annie, do you remember what jobs are open? Because I don't remember what's open. But, I can check back and then
Well,
we,
hopefully there's a list of what's open or some sort of
You would
computerized
think- you would-
method.
Database, yeah,
you would think so,
I
right?
bet Annie has some method.
must be.
I hope so.
Just be a spreadsheet.
I don't know what it is, but I'm hoping, yes, that she'll just go, oh, yeah, the list is there. I have looked through her electronic file stuff and, worked on some of that. So tomorrow I'll check on that and also ask her. Because basically what we need to do with that is,
Send notes.
send out letters to
Yeah.
everybody. And if, there's 10 of them or something, it's not that big of a deal.
And we still think a conservation restriction is, a seasonal restriction is a good idea?
Yeah.
What is it protective of?
What does it do exactly?
What is the purpose?
Well, the purpose is primarily because it is thought that it isn't a good idea to be working in the buffer zone or in wetland areas during the winter when the soils are frozen and, you're disturbing the drainage and everything else, and you don't know how you're disturbing it when all of a sudden spring comes.
That's predicated on a winter you actually get the land.
Oh, yeah.
Things are frozen.
I don't know if that's
So-
gonna be an issue going
so-
forward.
So, yeah, well, I think we've gone back and forth in this, but, tree removal is actually better
Yeah,
during
certain
that
things,
time, so it's.
certain things don't make, make sense to
yeah.
do it during those times.
But if if the ground was frozen, it was on a slope, and you were doing work at the top of, yeah, everything's gonna go right down to the wetlands, so I don't know.
Yeah, so that's the purpose. I mean, this goes way back to when the bylaw was put in place, back to 1996 or so. Someday, we might have to look at it and say it doesn't make sense anymore. All right. Any other items not reasonably anticipated at the time of posting? I don't know of any. Our next meeting is second Wednesday, again, 7 PM on October 9th. Put that in your calendars.
It does have a really nice,
Job description, yeah, I
Yeah.
thought I saw that, yeah.
So there is one on there?
yeah,
Oh, great,
it's
great,
beautiful.
great.
I was gonna ask you all about the, MACC
Yes,
meeting, do you all tend to go? I sometimes go for work.
I didn't have plans to go this year. But,
usually have gone to the one in the spring
Okay,
when I can go, because that one's a little bit bigger.
I've gone to both, and they're always very educational and awesome.
sure.
The other good thing is, if you haven't checked recently, they've got all the courses are online now. So if you're gonna pursue more MACC courses towards certification, you can do it sitting home on your couch with your phone if you really want to do it that way. I mean, I kind of liked the in-person ones myself, but certainly when they were like far away, it wasn't that great to have to drive so far. So, it kind of offers no excuse anymore to not to get certified. And I think we still have money that we can pay your fees if you want to pursue
Oh, I
certification.
don't think I ever got reimbursed, actually. Oh, well.
You didn't get reimbursed. Yes, you do have to put it in the same fiscal year that you took the course.
Should check on that, huh? Maybe you got like 2 classes left.
You can even check on the status of how many courses you've got under your belt on there too, I think, if you have an account set up. All right. Nothing else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All right. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.